and welcome to Buzz TV. I'm your host, Adrienne Houghton, and we have got an exciting show for you today. There's everything from restaurants and charities and galleries and something for everyone, really family favorites. So watch this space and find out more on Buzz TV.
Hello and welcome back to Around Town. I am your host, Tiffany Howard. Very excited to delve into performing arts in the northern Florida area. Today we have Jill Ambergy with the Island Theater. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So I know as a Clay County girl where I've resided for a long time, performing arts is not something that you see a lot of there. And so it's very exciting. There is another small theater that's been there for a while, but I'm really excited about all the activity going on at the Island Theater. So tell us a little bit about, how often you guys do shows and what kind of shows you guys do.
Well, we're a small theater across from Fleming Island High School. We involve the whole community, so we're not for profit, and we have theater camp, we have workshops, and we have shows. Like right now, we're running Little House on the Prairie. It'll close, and then we have the Addams Family Hobbit coming, and then we have She Kills Monsters. And we do a lot of family friendly, but we have a lot of teenagers involved as well because we're across from Fleming.
Definitely sounds like you guys are definitely involving the community. You've got camps for kids.
Yes.
And do you have camps for adults too to come and?
It's geared mostly for kids, but we do offer some like workshops and clinics for adults. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Very cool. And you said lots of teenagers with the high school being there.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a very strong base of children, and we do have a great adults as well. And we have main shows that go up probably every 2 weeks. We have something going on in the main stage almost.
And how long have you guys been there?
We've already completed our third year.
3 years.
3 years in March. They opened with Annie. Mm-hmm. So we just keep plugging. So.
Yes. And you're the director, so right now you're directing, so you're right in the middle of all the action.
Right. We're directing Little House on the Prairie, the musical, and I'm co-directing with my husband, Steve. And Trisha Williams is the managing director of the theater, and it's a great program.
So how many nights a week do you guys have shows, usually?
Typically, we have Friday, Saturday, Sunday are the main stage, and like this show will have an understudy cast, so they'll have a Tuesday, Thursday running. And a lot of the shows will offer a second cast or an understudy if we've had a lot of people that have come out for the show. How many
does the theater seat?
Now that we're lifting some of the restrictions, I think we can seat about 130. Our last show we sat, I think, 90. We've been easing it back up. We were at half seating before.
Do you have concessions for intermission?
We do. We have dollar concessions. Everything's $1, and you're allowed to eat and drink in the theater. So
it sounds like no vino on the list for $1.
No, not right now.
Right. Well, that's something maybe it would progress to maybe later. Little wine and intermission. So you guys are doing Little House on the Prairie now. Very soon, towards the end of the month, you guys are going to start getting ready for The Hobbit. That'll be something that's very exciting. And then the Addams Family.
Yes.
So what is the best way, Jill, for someone to see upcoming shows or get tickets to come to a show?
We do everything on our website, the Island Theater, and we also have email, and you can stop by the theater during the day. During the whole summer, we're there. So come visit. We're right across from Fleming Island High School, across from Christ Church, and we'd love to see you. And we take volunteers. We have auditions all through the summer. So
very fun. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. Thank you for joining us. I'm Tiffany Howard, your host on Around Town. Remember to make today count.
Hello, I'm John Rutherford from the United States House of Representatives, and I am a watchstander.
Hi, I'm Michelle McManaman from Operation Uniform, and I am a watchstander, and so is everyone in my organization.
I'm Damika Jackson. I'm the president of the Jacksonville Veterans Chamber of Commerce, and I am a watchstander.
Hi, I'm Luke Lewis with Xera Realty.
I am Ant Stroud with the Ant Stroud Group.
I'm Bruce Thompson. I'm the Vice President of the Veterans Chamber of Commerce.
And I am a watchstander.
I am a watchstander.
I'm a watchstander.
Each year, over 6,000 U.S. military veterans take their own lives, including one per week in Northeast Florida. The Fire Watch is our community's fight to end veteran suicide. Join us. Become a watchstander today at thefirewatch.org. Together, we will end veteran suicide.
Welcome back to another episode of On a Mission. I'm your host, Dr. Wendy Norfleet with Norfleet Integrated Solutions. And with me today, I have Karina Saladino with Mission House. And let's find out what Mission House is all about. Welcome, Karina.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Karina, before we start, I know I've heard of Mission House. I think I kind of know what you do, but let's share what you do for sure.
Absolutely. So Mission House is a low barrier day facility for the homeless at the beach. We provide crisis care services, which they consist of meals and showers, case management services. So we help people get Social Security cards, identifications. We help them if they need to do family reunification or if we need to do traveler's aid. And then we also help people with rapid rehousing. So people that are ready to kind of get out of crisis. And that's really our main purpose, is to get people off the streets and out of living in crisis and into homes. And then we also have a full medical facility on site. And we do medical care for the Duval County community that falls below the federal poverty level and does not have insurance.
Okay. Quick question about that, because, so how do you know they don't have insurance? Is there some database you check or something, or what do you do?
We do check and make sure that they are uninsured. And then we also help people get insurance if they're eligible for it. We work with a number of different programs and other nonprofits in the area. So if there is an eligibility and they have an opportunity to gain insurance, we absolutely work to get them insurance and get them to another provider. But there are some people that unfortunately just don't have the opportunity to have that, and we pick up as their primary care provider in those instances.
Okay. What about COVID? I know for a lot of nonprofits, I know I sit on a couple of nonprofit boards. How did that impact you?
COVID impacted us pretty heavily. Unfortunately, with COVID, we were unable to have our gala, and our gala typically brings in about $125,000 to $150,000 to the agency. Just to give you a frame of reference, for each household that we house, and a household could be an individual, it could be a couple, it could be a father and a son, or a mother and a child, or it could be a family. For each household, it's about $10,000 to $12,000 a year. So $120,000 to $150,000 is a big impact for us to not receive. And our numbers increased. We had about 850 new intakes of people during 2020, during the pandemic, and consistently had case management of about 350 continuously coming back to us for services. So it affected us pretty heavily. I had to increase staff. I had to increase case managers to make sure that we had enough people to take care of our homeless community. We also had to open our doors for the first time to allow people to come and sleep in our building for cold night shelter, because unfortunately with COVID, there was nobody else that was able to do that for us. So,
oh wow, that's right, because every agency pretty much have to take care of their own just because of COVID, right?
Just because of COVID. So, it taught us a lot, but we are definitely in a place now where we're very happy that our volunteers are starting to come back and help. We could really use some more volunteers. We could definitely benefit from some additional donations to the agency to help support the cause and help us continue to get people out of crisis.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things for reentry. So I know we talked a little bit about that, but how, I think this will be great for local industry, because I see a lot of help wanted signs. So
Absolutely.
So these are people that can potentially fill those help wanted signs.
Absolutely. So part of our pillar program, which is basically a workforce development and income stability program, is helping our clients get back into the workforce. So we work with local companies, and they come in and help us with life skills classes and getting people ready to re-enter the workforce and getting them jobs and making sure that they have transportation to get there, making sure that they are staying stable with their employment and staying housed.
Wow, you guys do a lot.
We do.
And it seems like you increased expenses even though your funding has not necessarily increased to the same level.
That is absolutely correct.
So if people want to volunteer and or make donations, how do they contact?
There's a number of ways that they can get in touch with us. They can call us at 241-6767. That's our main number. Speak with anybody that answers the phone, and they can make a donation. They can ask about volunteer opportunities. The best way is to go to our website, and that's missionhousejax.org. All of our volunteer opportunities are on our website. There's a calendar of events on there. It talks a lot more about the agency, how people can get involved in our mission. There's a donate button on there if you'd like to donate. We're also on social media. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. We share a lot of our stories. We have some really great clients. And, something that I really want people to understand is these are really good people that have just fallen on hard times.
Right. And all of us have needed help at some point in time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Unfortunately, we have learned with COVID that a lot of people are just a paycheck away. And, I'm very humbled to have the opportunity to help people come out of crisis and have a better tomorrow. And, our community, we really are better together. And the more that we can come together, the more we can help people get out of crisis.
That's a great message to leave it on. And I just want to say that Jacksonville is a great place for nonprofits. I mean,
Absolutely.
The community really puts their arms around them. And I'm sure if you're hearing this message, you will be contacted. And, anything I can do, just let me know.
Thank you. Thank you so much again for having me today.
All right. Thank you for joining us for another episode of On a Mission. To learn more about Karina Saladino and Mission House, please go to iwannabuzz.com. And we'll see you next time on Buzz TV.
Sorry to interrupt your show. I'm Steve Strum from Buzz TV. Today we have Troy Farquhar from Integrity Law.
Thanks, Steve.
Tell us about your firm.
Yeah, so Integrity Law is a full-service law firm. We do mostly family law, but we also practice in estate planning, personal injury, probate, real estate matters. So look us up, www.integritylawjax.com.
Thanks for joining us. And you guys can have your show back.
Greetings and welcome to Caring for Seniors. I am your host, Adrienne Houghton. Each week, I sit down with Dave Stieglitz, who is the president of Oasis Senior Advisors Jacksonville, and we discuss all aspects of senior living, from housing through to financial planning. And today, we are lucky enough to have a familiar face with us, and that is Mary Daniel from Caregivers for Compromise, and we're going to find out why she is a familiar face. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, Mary, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about long-term care and how you got involved.
I am a Jacksonville native. Was born here, grew up here, and actually love it here. So this is my husband and I my husband is not a native, but we decided to make our home here. 8 years ago, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at the age of 59. So I have been caring for him. We've been lucky enough to have the Mayo Clinic here. He's been in some clinical trials of drug testing. It's been a really interesting road of learning about the world of Alzheimer's, of course, never having any experience in that before. A couple years ago, I did start feeling that I needed to place him in memory care. I had him at home. It was very, very difficult. He's very social in nature. He's a salesman, so loved building relationships and being around people. And I had him basically locked at home, literally locked in the house because he was exit seeking, as they call it. So I knew that I needed some help. In my day job, I am a patient advocate, and I have worked with Dave for years in that world, in the senior world, networking in the same groups. And so I knew of Oasis and knew that I needed to call him and give me some help in this process because it was so overwhelming.
And Steve went into memory care.
He did, July of 2019.
And then 2020 happened.
Yes. And let me say, he was loving it. He loved it there. He was very, very welcome there. The staff loved him. They even gave him a chair at the front desk. He thought that he was an employee there. He greeted everybody.
So he was able to be social, as you said.
Absolutely. It was perfect for him. He was really thriving in this facility and enjoying life. He sat at the front desk every single day and would hug the UPS guy, all of the vendors, the doctors, any of the nursing staff that would come in. Every visitor knew him. So things were going very, very well. And on March the 11th, I went in to see him as I normally do. I go in the evenings and get him ready for bed, and left on March the 11th, and they called me on March 12th and said, you can't come back.
Before we go down that trail, which we want to go down, but let's back up a second, because what you just went through an important transition step from someone who's caring for a loved one, a spouse with Alzheimer's at home and struggling with that. And I know, you hung on to that, and we had discussions, and we looked for quite a long time before you finally pulled the trigger. What would you say to other people who are at home with a spouse or a loved one with Alzheimer's that's feeling guilt, feeling hesitancy, they don't want to, it's my job to do this, or all the emotions that you went through, and then you finally did it? And talk about that a little bit.
That's a very important point, because it is something that weighs very heavily. Am I making the right decision?
Yes.
Is it too soon? Are there any other things that I could be doing? And so I tried all of that, and you were a great resource that I was able to see him on a regular basis at these networking events, and we could talk about it. Because I did bring in-home care. I was working out of the office. I moved my office to bring care in. I put him in day programs that I thought would entertain him during the day, and he hated those. There was just that going back and forth that was so difficult transitioning for him. So I struggled with all of those, but did feel like I wanted to go through those steps just to at least feel like I had tried everything. Yes. The final straw for me was the realization that the socialization was so important. Sitting in front of a television all day long brings no joy or purpose to anyone's life.
No.
And everybody has the right to have purpose and to have interactions with people and to have meaningful relationships with people, even at his level, even as someone with Alzheimer's. And that was really the final decision for me when I realized that I was actually possibly even harming him and making his life. When I got home from work, he was furious. He had been locked in this house all day long and was furious with me. And I knew that that wasn't working either. So it was such a relief to know that he felt fulfilled there. He felt that he was doing a job, and he felt that he had a purpose of getting up every day, and adjusted incredibly well. So it is a very important point that all of those feelings of guilt and all of those feelings of being not sure and am I making a mistake? Is he going to hate it and hate me for putting him there? I was very, very fortunate that we didn't experience that he really flourished. And so having you as an asset to me, not only before, which I know you can do for everyone, but during the process of then saying, okay, I know it's time. Now what do I do? Now I'm into a whole new set of questions and a whole new set of concerns. Do I place him in what's the difference in all of the different types of facilities? Where is the best fit for him? All of those things are things that you answered for me.
So when lockdown came, what did you actually do to try and get to Steve?
I immediately called the executive director of the facility and said, what can I do to get to him? Can I get a job? Can I volunteer? Can I just come in and help with activities? You tell me. There's got to be something that I can do. And they told me, let's just be patient. It was the 15 days to slow the curve. we're just going to see what happens. This is going to be temporary. We have no idea what the future looks like. So I was for a period of time, but the days turned to weeks and the weeks turned to months, and I knew that I needed to start making some noise. So I started posting on social media, tagging the governor. I started emailing him in his office, anybody that I could think of, my local officials. I started calling all of the people around him, trying to get to, maybe some of my friends knew him or knew people in his administration. And that started getting the attention of some news. I included the media, local media, on all of my emails.
Smart move.
Yes, and it got their attention. So I started to have a few news stories here and there about the actual lockdown and what I thought it was doing. When Steve was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, the day he was diagnosed, I promised him that I would be by his side every step of the way, that I would hold his hand every day, and that he would never be alone. And that wasn't happening. And that scared me. I wasn't fulfilling that promise, and I wanted to be there with him. He didn't understand what was happening. Using an iPad and phone calls, he is very verbal in that he talks a lot, but I can't understand anything that he says. So we have no conversations. Us being together, the physical part of being together is how we communicate with each other.
Yes.
Exactly. So without that, he was alone, and he would cry. We did 2 window visits, and he cried both visits. So it was really, really difficult. Eventually, it got the attention of the corporate office of the facility where he was. And at the end of June, they called me out of the blue and offered me a job.
Because it must have been annoying for you knowing that there were people who were going in and out of that facility who were working there.
I told them I would do anything they wanted me to do. I would be like the staff and follow all the precautions. I would wear a hazmat suit. Whatever they needed me to do, I would be more than willing to do. But nobody knew what to do. Nobody had any idea what to do. So thankfully, the news stories, and once I got the job as the dishwasher, and once I went to work, that story went viral.
Yes.
And that got the attention of the governor.
It certainly did. It certainly did.
Gosh.
How did you go down from there then? Because you organized what turned into quite a movement that ended up being nationwide.
I did.
Yes.
Yeah. I realized when the story went viral, I knew I was hearing from people that were in the same boat that I was in. And I knew that we had to do something. How do I harness all of this and bring us all together? So I started a Facebook group called Caregivers for Compromise. And we started a national page and a page in every single state so that everybody could go for 2 purposes. One was for support, to tell your stories, to have people who understood what it was like to be isolated from your loved one. But the other was for advocacy. What can you do in your state to change the rules? And so it took off from there.
How has this journey changed you and the work that you do?
I have a company called Claim Medic that I have stepped down from my CEO role. I'm only working part-time for that. And this advocacy has taken the front seat. I really feel like God has placed me here for a reason, that I have the voice to speak about this issue that so desperately, for a long time, the nursing home system in America has needed some attention. And I think this has opened the door to that. And I feel like there's real work to be done here that can really be life-changing for many people.
Where do you see this going now that facilities are starting to open back up? Does this go away? Does it fade away? Or do you have some vision of things still need to be done?
We believe that Florida can be an example of how states and how the rest of the country can open up these facilities. Thanks to Governor DeSantis, we were able to go in and touch our family members on September the 1st. Way ahead. There's still some states that don't allow touching, believe it or not. So we believe that the essential caregiver designation that he made here, that we started using September 1st, is being used as a role model for federal legislation. We have an Essential Caregiver Act that was just introduced in Congress just a week or so ago. We will be empowering all of our caregivers that are in our Facebook groups to be joining this effort to reach out to your own congressman. I reached out to John Rutherford, our Jacksonville congressman, and he I explained the situation. I explained the bill. He contacted the sponsor out of New York, and he is one of the original co-sponsors on the bill. So I'm proud to have his support. And I believe this will be an Essential Caregiver Act that will be an amendment to the Social Security Act, which says that every resident will be able to have 2 essential caregivers to always be able to come in following the guidelines of the staff if we ever have another national health emergency like COVID.
That's awesome.
And this is national.
It will. It'll be a federal bill. Yeah.
Have you come across any particular states that are completely against anything and everything at the moment?
Many. New York is a
Really?
perfect example.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's really been an interesting, and I say it's really put the spotlight on the dynamic of these facilities. There's a big power dynamic here of the facilities believing that they know better than we do, than the caregivers do. And so it's, in many states, it's a battle between the industries and the people and the residents themselves, the rights of the people. And so my biggest argument the entire time was, why am I allowed to touch him as a dishwasher, but I can't touch him as his wife? I can follow the same rules as his wife. And he needs me. They need us. We know that the lockdown was done for the right reasons. We know we didn't know what we were facing. And we still do know that COVID kills. But isolation kills too. And we're seeing that with death certificates that say failure to thrive. So we know, I mean, it's very common.
That's written on the
death certificates. And those numbers have, in fact, I've just recently asked the Department of Health for the Florida numbers. It is a very prominent listing on death certificates now, is failure to thrive. And that's because they have been completely isolated and without, especially dementia patients, without touch, without contact, without that physical connection, the brain is just dying at a much quicker rate than it normally would.
If there's somebody watching out there who would like to help, what would you like to say to them?
Join the Caregivers for Compromise group. We are nationwide. We have a national page. Search Caregivers for Compromise, and you will find not only the national page, but pages in every state. So we want everybody in their state to be fighting locally for laws. Just yesterday, Texas legislature signed an essential caregiver bill. Mary Nichols out of Texas is a workhorse. Yes. And she just had a Texas bill signed yesterday by the governor that is allowing essential caregivers forever when there's any sort of national health emergency. So we have advocates that have joined us that are working so hard, and we're looking forward to doing it on the national level. But we're going to need help to get to every single congressman.
Your strength is admirable. I can't say thank you enough for so many people who haven't been able to say thank you to you. So I'd like to take it upon myself to say thank you for what you're doing. And thank you for coming in and sharing your story.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And if you'd like to know any more information, you can go to Caregivers for Compromise, or of course you can also go to iwantabuzz.com. Wow, that was fantastic. What a great show, and what interesting businesses. Don't forget, if you need any more information, you can go to iwantabuzz.com. Bye for now.